Hi there. Welcome back, humans, world. Those interested in a peaceful world that have understand it's not peaceful on the planet for a lot of people, even if they've found inner peace. Here, let's adjust this. Okay, we'll do take two. Take two. Just keep it rolling. What the hell? So this is improv as usual. No real notes. This is impromptu feedback from a transcendent state that somehow we have been able to achieve through probably over 100,000 hours of working on the connection to, or the pipeline to, a more probably balanced, happy, peaceful consciousness. So today is what Christians call Easter. Now, Good Conscience TV isn't about religion. More philosophy, psychology to create a better balance. Religions are having a hard time with that. There are a few religions that are very peaceful and allow other input from other belief systems into their overall thinking, whether they agree with it or not, as long as it's not hurting anyone, right? Case in point, Buddhism. It's a form of yoga, folks. Buddhism is a form of yoga taken on with the general traditions and uh, societal norms of the geographical area that it wandered into. Now, it didn't get to wander physically all over this planet, the historical Buddha from India. But, and this isn't about Buddhism because, as the Dalai Lama knows, Tenzing, and all those whose mission it is to show humans how to find peace again so they can stop this damn warring. Now, so this is going to be complicated. This might be a three-parter today. It's Easter, okay, resurrection, blah, 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 blah. Uh, you're not hearing it correctly if you're reading about it. It's something you experience in meditation. You can experience the passion of the Christ after experiencing the transcendence of the Christ from a selfish perspective to not as much stuff, a self that connects, a spirit that connects with more and more stuff. This is why we go out into the desert. We go out into nature. We check out of the busy world that this planet is experiencing historically. So this stuff about Easter, it's about transformation. It's about spring. It's about new growth. It's about the plant that's going to flower. Sound familiar? This is a consciousness thing. All humans have the ability to flower and make other humans smile. Right now, there are plants that think they can make people smile without blooming. This is because they're still in mud thinking of self. They haven't come up to the light far enough to realize, hey, I'm part of the light too. That's why I'm pointing to it. Okay. So I guess the title to this Easter quick series, The Art of the Con. Okay, the Con, C-O-N. Yeah, we all know Connie. She's awesome. But the art of the con. Con meaning with. Contra meaning not with, opposed to, on the other side, against. Whatever. Other side of a circle of perspective. Contra, con. No, I don't speak Spanish. although a lot of my friends do, so they can translate for me. Uh, both American Spanish and European Spanish. So, Khan, the Great Khan. The Great Khan? No, this is the Great Khan. We're all with each other in this human existence, damn it. Imagine you're in that Artemis. You're away from the gravity of the Earth. You're away from the pull of Mother Earth. You're out there, baby. You are on your own. You may have communication with home, but the physicalness of the universe and the precise nature of getting there and back safely, at least we've got modern GPS. Thank you, Dr. Parkinson. Dr. Brad Parkinson, Stanford University, Bear Valley. Go trees. Bears climb trees to be with them. Okay, so that brings Cal and Stanford together, eh? We'll show you how to bring Cambridge and Oxford together here in a minute, maybe. So, the great Khan, the great with. How do you feel more with than without? That's the root right there. In the nose, out the mouth. It's that easy when you put your mind to it. When I say put your mind to it, let your mind go from its sporadic, uncontrolled thinking for a moment to hang with nature. You can do this in a jail cell. You can do this on the edge of a waterfall, cliff fall. You can do it anywhere because guess what? You got to breathe in and out right now, right? We take it for granted. Something solid, and then we forget about it. Granite. So as it happens, on a lava cap that's based on real old granite here in the California gold country, physicality here in the gold country, and in that granite and the quartz that goes with it is found gold. Gold! Gold finger or gold member or God. The fascination with gold is really pretty simple. Gold is a symbol of an alchemy that takes place when an element takes on more electrons, neutrons, protons. You know how it works inside the sun, huh? Or maybe you don't. But you can find that out now. With these things, they're fantastic. All the information you need to form greater solution to peace in the moment. It's through these things. There's a lot of crap on board these things. You know, luckily, like we learned with the clicker in the 60s and 70s, 60s and 70s clickers, TV clickers. Hey, just change the channel. Stupid ad comes along selling you something you not only don't need, but is repulsive. Click. You know, you can click this off if you don't like it. You think I'm repulsive? Well, the spirit that's in here, bodhicitta, or whatever you want to call it, prana, life force, this thing that connects us all, connects us all, is something that is called spirit. So how do you get into the concepts of spirit? Something that's ethereal, not always physical, goes in and out of the physical at will. It can be both at once or nothing. What? You know, from our thinking, from just this body standpoint, sounds a little scary. So this is the beauty of meditation and getting into breath. You can go into the scary bits on your own. Not everyone likes a scary movie. And not everyone is scared to go inside because they're doing it now. Telling you about it. The experience. Not going outside for answers and fear, but going inside to find balance and overcome the fear that's at the root of all the fighting and shit and war. So this stuff's going on again. Persia. Those of you who've spent any time in Persia, or Palestine for that matter, crying, scratching their head, going, how can this happen? Well, we've let it happen, humans. A lot of humans, me included, it took me 40 some years to figure out, maybe I'm not going to go with the crowd because that ends up fighting and worrying about time and money. And that caused a lot of grief in the big picture. And having been on the peaceful path since I realized it in the mid to late 60s, been observing how the peace process works. You got to study the fighting and why people fight and the psychology of fighting and the philosophy of fighting to overcome the need to fight. Who's taking the time to do this? Well, obviously not a lot of people, at least not in what they call power structures that are trying to make you do things that might not seem that lucid. Like, here, go kill that person. Just follow my orders. Now, this is not clear thinking. This is not an indictment on the soldier. This is an indictment on non-clear, non-complete perceptive thinking. Just following orders. Pilgrim? Pellegrino? If you're Italian, I think Pellegrino means pilgrim. The con job. How did it set in and how does it keep going? Well, we don't realize we are with something here in this physical body because we've lost touch with it. Other people might help us connect with it in a little way to make us feel good for a little while, but then we're right back in the rat race. Worried about time and money, and that's worrying about time and money and how to get it and who should get it at what time. Okay, there's belief structures beyond just religion, capitalistic structures, nationalist structures that were addressed by our friend John Lennon, who was, it appears, very inspired by Yoko. So that's kind of co-written. It's inspired by the Zen concept, the Shinto concept of balance and not taking sides, or being able to keep a balance by redistributing the sides. How do you do that? Well, you got to go in the enemy's camp to find out how they're thinking and why they're attacking. And the good spy will stop it before it turns into an attack. Not by killing, but by planting information that monkey wrenches, Ed Abbey, another good Ed. I'm Mr. Ed, by the way. And okay, I'm not. It's just a label. How do we label things so it gets more balanced? Well, the way we label can help us balance things out. If we label everything a function of good, and then go ahead and write whatever else you wanted to do it, if it narrows people's thinkings to thinking right and wrong, mine, yours, us, them, black, white, well, that doesn't work out. That really doesn't work out. Check history. Check history. Okay, I lost my screen here because I haven't diddled any doodles here. Okay, so right now, how much time we done? I'm setting the precepts here of the con job and why humans keep conning themselves into believing what other humans are telling them that may be a little more limited than they're meant to go. By meant, I mean by the universe, by its ability to contact itself through this human form. This is transcendent meditation. We come back into the self after transcending in meditation to touch more energy systems, more awareness that's floating around in the universe at all different kinds of levels. Think of it as a radio station for those of you that have ever listened to normal radio, not just these things. You're looking for a dial, or you're looking for a streaming service, right? You're aiming the antenna or you're aiming your computer to a certain website, la da 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 da. Humans have forgotten because we get complicated in how we're connected or trying to connect with the universe around us, forgetting how to connect with the universe inside. Once you balance the two, get a communication going with your intuition, contemplate, reflect on something that happened just recently or something that you want to bring forward into the world that helps bring more balance and peace. There's a lot of people that think, oh, kumbaya, yada-da, it'll never be equal for everyone. True. But the thing is about keeping a balance so that humans don't wipe this little human experiment out. Now, as far as the human experiment goes, that's another series. Any human that doesn't realize they are working in the lab here on Earth doing experiments. Life is an experiment. You afraid to do experiments? Mix a couple of things in 2 different beakers and see what happens? Or mix something in this beaker with something in this beaker and wow, love bomb, energy release. Greater than the energy, greater than the sum of the parts. Man, when you put it together, there's another energy that comes in. No, it's not. It's not directed. You just are able to get to that level where that energy is now absorbed into the cell structure of the human body. You know, the more selfish we get, the more of a force field, iron Death Star concept the human becomes when we get wrapped up in self. Everyone that's wrapped up in self which is contra to what we are able to do as human beings for this moment. The human being. Well, the human being in this body is spirit that doesn't know time or place. It's not about stuff and space. It's about the energy that goes in and out as stuff temporarily. That's why it's so precious. And, you know, we get a chance to finally experiment with these bigger concepts when they come here. That's the joy of being here. That's the passion of the you-know-who. The person who figured out how to connect back to where it all comes from, the stars, the elements, the physical stuff. Yeah, you've heard the song Stardust. You think God farts stardust? That's kind of from Robin Williams. I can't take credit for that. He farts sawdust, stardust, sawdust. Yeah, he's a carpenter. Okay, no, okay, there's a bit. Someone run with that, man. Put it up on the YouTube channel. Make people laugh about becoming more aware and connecting to this thing that we've been conned into thinking is a connection with an infinite just through them, through that person that thinks they're the only conduit because they read a book and they interpret a book a certain way. Guess what? As soon as you put it down into book form, it's history, pal. And guess what? The vanquished never get to write it. So it's incomplete information. You gotta balance it with the information that you can process from spirit, non-time, non-self. Wherever you were before, you're here listening to this ape drivel on. Hopefully it's a great ape. I've always had an affinity for chimps. And Jane Goodall. Jane of foolish humans. So study nature. Get into nature. You can do it on these gizmos. You can do it with virtual reality. You don't have to go there physically anymore. This is what we've been doing in meditation for eons. Oh, I'd love to tell you a conversation I've had with some people at the top of Everest. They're like, "Who are you? What are you doing here? You don't have oxygen tank. You're not with this party. What are you doing here?" Well, I'm having a conversation, not I, but the spirit that we all think is I. It's a little dot over a big dash. Not a big I-beam trying to clonk you over the head or trying to build some structure to nowhere. High rise, low rise, high rent, low rent. Anyway, yeah, the mind goes all over the place when it can connect beyond selfish concepts. And from those places of non-selfish intent, but driven by the power to bring balance back to human civilization, is why we are here. All of us figure out on our own. But how can we afford ourselves the time to figure this out if we're busy fighting? Okay, you kids, knock it off in the back of class. Who hasn't heard that in a class? Okay, you guys to the principal's office. Okay, detention, Mr. Chambers. I didn't get it a lot. My British life. In boarding school at Caterham School for boys and now girls in Caterham, Surrey, England. Look it up. It's a virtual Hogwarts. Karmically, why I went through puberty, going to that boarding school as a day student. I didn't board, but it was a boarding school, and it's a magical place because it's based on the principles of self-learning, self-understanding, self-balancing. Keep it simple, it's easier to balance. Keep it simple, it's easier to keep it in balance. We make it pretty complicated, that's why it's so out of balance. What makes it complicated? Having to process everything we're processing up here with the me part up here and not going to the intuition, the selfless part of self, the spirit. If they want to call it Holy Spirit, fine, but holy actually means help others love you. Yeah, as an engineer, I'm going to throw a lot of acronyms at you. Symbolisms. We've been conned in so many ways in symbolism and writing and how to interpret writing. This is why the really good stuff is passed on orally, like I'm doing here now, from personal experience. I can write it down, but you might misinterpret that depending on how my editor wants to edit it. That's why I'm talking to you straight to the heart. Great Little Feat tune off the album Down on the Farm, I believe. The nature of music, the nature in music helps elevate us beyond self. We might be listening to thrash metal, the angry stuff that helps us feel happy about being angry. Associating, you want to go slam dance, you want to go jump in the mosh pit, get covered in spit and goo and God knows whatever else. There are people that want to go into the pit to see if they can survive. Well, there's a better pit than the mosh pit. Right here. Heart center, solar plexus maximus. The area that's the heart and the lungs combined that keeps this physical thing so in tune. The fuel is air. Little plugged up, allergies. That's the exhaust. CO2, maybe a little methane at the other end anyway. Gotta watch what we eat as we age. Toot, toot, toot. That was one of the sounds that Robin thought was one of the funniest that humans produce spontaneously. And yeah, that's the gluteus trumpetus maximus, or any form thereof. The fun thing is when it's a sound and the sound isn't a foul note that's... Okay, enough of that, as my mom would say, grossing me out. Oh, look, there's a clock. We're coming up on 27 minutes. So just be. When you got the time, in the nose, out the mouth, calmly. Do a little pause between the out and the in. Don't do counting numbers. Just do the mindful breathing. After the mindful breathing comes more mindful thinking. The stuff that's important to think, I mean really important, to keep a balance in the world, like not bank account, no, not that kind of balance. The balance of humanity so we don't implode. Because right now, if it gets out of hand in the Middle East, I don't know if we'll be able to handle it. So we've got to get a control of these fools that think fighting is the answer. We might have to trap a few of them because they don't want to be reeled in. They're making money and pride and trying to make a point by killing people. When has that worked, folks? Hasn't for a few thousand years. Generally speaking, it's been the Christians, those who call themselves Christians, attacking non-Christians, trying to convert them. You can all resurrect from your selfish self to your higher self. You can do that right now. You don't have to wait for the next life, whether you believe in a next life or not. It'll suit you wherever you're going after you're done with this life. It'll suit you in your dreams. It'll suit you in your day. If you let it, if you want to keep fighting, if you're traumatized and think fighting is the only way, there are systems of overcoming it, and it's getting out in nature. Ask any hardcore soldier who's dealing with PTSD. Getting out in nature, getting into this nature through mild doses of psychoactives. Psychoactive is basically helping your psychology get off the self-concept to see a broader perspective. The religions and belief systems that think we're not supposed to take anything that changes our psychological view are trying to control you because they're scared. They may have had a couple of bad trips. Yeah, we all have bad trips. I had a bad train trip once. I'll tell you about that. Not now. But we've all been on a bad train trip. How many people want to be on a bad train trip heading to some place in 1940s Germany, Austria, Poland, Or how many would like to maybe get on the peace train, the love train? You don't need a ticket. You don't need money. Just get on board. So where's the peace train? Well, the ticket is forged in here. Once you spend enough time in here in breath, you'll realize, hey, I got a ticket to go there. Got a ticket to ride. She's got a ticket to ride. Yeah, another Beatles reference. He's an old fart. So sorry. But if we keep this up, the only thing living on the planet are going to be things like beetles and worms that, quite honestly, will be happy that we're gone because we're hurting the planet they live on too. Talk to any beetle. Hey, Paul. Hey, Ringo. Talk to any beetle. Talk to nature. Open your mind and your consciousness and your perception with mindful breathing, mindful thinking. Anyone can have a conversation with insects, with nature. It's not judgmental. It doesn't have an ego. It's listening. Go out and talk to it. Scream to it. Whatever it takes to get this anxiety out that's formed by not wanting to go in here because, you don't do that. We don't do that here. When I was in boarding school in England in the early 70s, we don't do that in this country, you silly Yank. Well, that was kind of fun. So I had to assimilate. Although they kind of got what the gist of what I was trying to communicate to them in my American Yankee Californian way. Yeah, South London. Yeah, yeah. Think Carnaby Street meets Shaolin Street. I told you in some other broadcast about the experience I had with a Shaolin monk in the early 70s, a part of London that will be divulged in due time. But it was a great Sifu, a great monk who understood how to bring balance to the world so people wouldn't attack each other. The thing is, you can't teach it to people. People have to learn how to do it themselves. It's part of why we're here as humans. Overcoming the compelling drive to punch someone in the face when they're hurting someone else. Well, when you train, you don't have to punch them in the face. You can grab them, put them in an arm lock, wrist lock, ear lock, fence lock, jock lock. That's one of my favorites. The jock lock. Michael Jackson had his version of the jock lock. What? Okay, enough of the blues. People get ready. That train goes right through your station that's trying to connect to these other stations. Oh, Macarena. We'll be back shortly. Maybe a different blue shirt. But this is part one of Easter Sunday. Now it's spring. You ready to spring into peace? Or do you want to fall back into war? Stay tuned. This is about love. Infinite, non-personal. Infinite love. World peace. That's why we're here. Show you how to do it. It's easy. Here we go. Part 2 coming up. Don't wait for it. It's just going to happen. Gump, Forrest Gump.